I'd like to call the regular meeting of City Council being held at the Peace River Regional District Boardroom for Monday, July 27th, 2026. Just before I get started, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Wayne Dolan, former mayor that we lost last week. So I just wanted to send condolences to Bev Dolan and their family from the city of Dawson Creek. Just thank them for their commitment to our community. Wayne and Bev have given a lot back over the years to our community, and I spent a lot of time on the Chamber of Commerce board actually with Wayne before he was the mayor of the city of Dawson Creek, so I've had a long relationship with him, but yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize them and let their family know that we're thinking about them. So. The City of Dawson Creek acknowledges that we are privileged to live and work on Treaty 8 territory in the traditional home of the Cree, Danazay, Saulteaux, Sicanee, and Slavey First Nations. We value the Métis peoples that live and gather here. We commit to upholding the respectful relationships these nations have built with the land, and we acknowledge our responsibility to carry that forward today and into the future. Two, there's no delegations. 3, 2026 strategic priority chart. Is there an update at all?
Your Worship, just a quick update is that staff currently working through all of those strategic plans, putting some information together so that we can have a wrap-up meeting, so to speak, with all of council. We're just trying to get some of that work done, so we're getting close. I think we got another meeting, maybe 2, to work through some stuff, and then we'll be ready to meet with council as a whole on that. So it's coming.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Kevin. Any questions from council? No. All right. Next, 4 late items. I don't believe there's any late items. 5, new councillor business. Any new councillor business? Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to pass along a compliment I received from a member of the public, specifically with respect to the city's line painting. And crosswalks and refurbishment of that. I know that's something we brought in-house a couple of years back because we were having to wait till later in the season to get it done. And some members of the public at least have noticed. So please extend compliments of the resident to your team. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Any other new councillor business? No? All right. 6, adoption of minutes. 6.1, minutes of regular meeting on council, July 13th, 2026 for adoption. Councillor McDonald, second Councillor Kempf. All in favor? That's carried. Any business arising? All right, correspondence 8.1. We have a letter from Danielle Veach, Mayor, Village of Pouce, Coupe, received on June 30th, 2026 regarding Emergency Support Services Mutual Aid Agreement. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to move that we instruct staff to continue to engage with the PRD and the Village of Pouce Coupe into discussions to identify potential gaps and formalize existing and future collaborations.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald. Do I have a second? Councillor Apollonio. Any discussion? Councillor Earl.
I guess just for some context, either to yourself, Your Worship, or through you to staff, I assume these are chiefly conversations that are taking place at the regional district level?
Yeah, we've had this well, not this specifically, but the regional district is currently working on these agreements right now. So I don't know if, yeah, I'm assuming this is all, but I don't know. Kevin would probably be one.
So I'd imagine once they've come up with some details, it'll make its way to council and we can discuss then.
Yeah, so through your Worship, I mean, I think what they're looking for is we during activations, we often call on village staff because they're trained and willing and able, and so my assumption is that they would just like to have some form of agreement that would just lay out protocols and whatnot like that. And like you say, there's likely the regional perspective as well, overarching. So certainly something we can engage with them and with the RD and just make sure
Yeah.
we have that all wrapped up.
I guess question, would it be Wildfire BC or some other entity, emergency response, whatever, just to, I don't say have them vet whatever agreement we come out, because it's a regional entity, but obviously in the event of an emergency that requires evacuation and emergency social services, they're going to be in the mix. And is there a best practice? Just if somebody's already invented the wheel, do we need to go reinventing it?
So we'd be
Here.
working with EMBC, Emergency Management BC, through something like that. Again, this is likely templates across the province for these sorts of relationships. So
Yeah, and that was more my mind going to is there already a kind of established norms that we can lean on to inform the discussion? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Thanks, Kevin. Other discussion? No. Call this motion to vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, 8.2, we have a letter from Tim McGonigle, Mayor, Town of Cowichan, received on July 7th, 2026, request for support of Elect Respect campaign. Councillor Parslow?
Yes, I would move that we express our support for this campaign.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Parslow. Second, Councillor Apollonio.
The
Discussion.
reason I think it's important is I don't know how the rest of council feels about it, or they do know how some of you on an individual basis feel about it. It seems to me that some elements in the electorate and in political life seem to try to engage in besmirching, demeaning people. I think that is dreadful politics. Politicians who may be in the minority or in opposition have a very critical role in democracy, and that is to analyze government practice, policies, and make constructive suggestions. And I think so many people get exasperated with politics is because it's dropped to a very low level in some quarters from the point of view of values and being constructive. And so I really appreciate this initiative that's presented before us. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Your Worship. I, for the most part, agree with the sentiments expressed by Councillor Parslow. I think certainly in recent years, you'd have to be willfully ignorant not to note that there's been a coarsening the public discourse and I guess what I've referred to as the professional wrestlingization of politics. And I think it's been to the detriment of our community and pretty much every community in recent years. I guess the only concern, I mean, not a concern necessarily, but I think, you know, the candidates running for office are ultimately the ones who need to support an elect respect campaign. Having the city do it, I don't know if how much traction that's going to have. I think it's more a matter for the actual candidates and politicians, not necessarily us in our capacity as the government. But I'm happy to support this.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Other discussion? No, I'll call this to vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, 8.3, we have a letter from Murray Pratt, President, Dawson Creek Exhibition Association, received on July 13th, 2025. They're just looking for a request for letter of authorization for the liquor license for the 2026 exhibition in Stampede. Councillor Earl?
I move that we provide such a letter of authorization.
Thanks. Second, Councillor Kempf. Discussion. I'll call this motion to vote. All in favor? It's carried. 8.4, we have email from Yvonne Barmettler, resident of Dawson Creek, received on July 8th, 2026, regarding potential municipal support for continued operation of the Bulterys House. Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to move that we receive for discussion.
Second, Councillor Kemp. Call that to vote. All in favor? It's carried. I'm not to jump in, but I will if you're okay with that. I just wanted to, thank you, Yvonne, for submitting the letter to, yeah, you're not able to speak in this if that's what you were wanting to, but yeah. Just wanted to thank you. I did want to just bring, I think I've brought council up to speed on most of my communication around this along the way, but I will just speak to it a bit again. But I have met with Chris, who is the president of the South Peace Health Service Society. I've also met with Northern Health and the Minister of Health in regards to this. And they are in the process of trying to work through things on ways that they can get through this and work on it. I've let them know, the Health Service Society, that at any point that they need our support, to reach back out, and I would bring it to council, and I haven't heard back from them to date. Also note that the city does support the Bulterys House in the way of permissive tax exemption currently, so the city already is supporting that. It's easy to say healthcare is not our avenue, but we do a lot already in the community for healthcare, so so I might be missing a few things, but that's kind of where it's at. And my last update was, I can't remember when I met with Chris, but it was, when this recently came out. So, Councillor Parslow.
Yes, thanks for the update. I really, I think we should keep all options open. And there's certain benefits to the city, but the focus is primarily for rural residents and others from as far away as Fort Nelson sometimes. So I think we need to, if there's going to be any partnership, it should be done on a regional basis, not just the city.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's been some discussion. I mean, the regional district has a function for this, so that, is a different avenue as well. So, Councillor Earl?
No, I was actually, I'll not add to anything Parslow said. He did.
Okay. He passed. Thanks, Councillor Earl.
You can dare to contradict.
Any other discussion? Too short, man. No? Okay. Thank you. Next, 8.5, we have a letter from Shoni Field, Chief Public Engagement and Advancement Officer with BC SPCA, received on July 20th, 2026, regarding future operations of the BC SPCA South Peace Community Animal Center in Dawson Creek. Thanks, Yvonne. Councillor Parslow.
I move that we receive this for information.
Thank you. Second, Councillor McDonald. Any discussion on receiving for information? I'll call this to vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have 8.6, letter from Natasha Mackrell, Operations Manager of Juniper Health Collaborative Society, received on July 20th, 26, regarding a request for a letter of support for the Heart and Stroke Foundation BC Public Access Defibrillation PAD program. Councillor Apollonio. I can't tell. All I can see is all the lights come on. I don't know who's first.
Okay. I declare that we issue our letter for support for the Juniper Health Collaborative Society for the support for the Health and Stroke Foundation for BC Public Access to Defibrillation PAD program.
Thanks, Councillor Apollonio. Second, Councillor Kemp. Discussion. Call that to vote. All in favor? It's carried. If you guys want, or councillors, sorry, just after I'm done reading one out, maybe wait to push your mic till then, because I can't see while I'm reading it, but if there's one. Do you want to speak?
I just made one comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Parslow.
I recently received a qualification for the gun club, bleed and management and so on. And I was amazed to learn how, for most of the issues to do with heart that defibrillation supports, there's a readily accessible and affordable machine that covers about 85% of the issues. And I'm talking about $1,500. And so whilst I support, obviously, this initiative of Rimrock, I was just wondering how well all our recreation areas, what do they have in the area of defibrillation? And were staff aware of this alternative that covers 80 to 90% of issues? It's very readily affordable.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Next, 8.7, we have a letter from grant writer, City of Dawson Creek, received on July 27th, 2026, regarding a resolution of support, Northern Development Initiative Trust Economic Infrastructure Grant Application, Dawson Creek Community Solar Initiative. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to move that the City of Dawson Creek supports the submission of an application to the Northern Development Initiative Trust Economic Infrastructure Grant Program for funding of up to $100,000 toward the Dawson Creek Community Solar Initiative. Further, that should the application be successful, the City of Dawson Creek commits to completing the project and funding all remaining project costs after the application of the grant proceeds and the anticipated $20,000 rebate from BC Hydro.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Second, Councillor Kemp. Discussion. Call this motion to vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next order of business, 9 reports. 9.1, we have report number 26-084 from the Civic Properties and Facilities Manager regarding invitation to tender 2026-37 City Hall renovations. Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the recommendation that report number 26-084 from the Civic Properties and Facilities Manager regarding invitation to tender 2026-37 City Hall renovations be received. Further, that Council award the contract for ITT 2026-37 City Hall renovations to Heggie Construction Limited in the amount of $775,100 excluding GST. Further, that Council cancel the following project approved in the 2026 capital budget and reallocate the associated funding totaling $1,832,455 to the City Hall asbestos remediation and renovation project. Bullet point, Lakota viewing stand, $100,000. City banners, $67,455. Childcare design and concept, $200,000. Airport branding and website development, $40,000. Lepke Park trail plan, 17th Street to 3rd Street, $150,000. 111th Avenue sidewalk, 15th Street to 17th Street, $625,000. Street lighting upgrade, $150,000. RCMP HVAC, $250,000. South Peace Community Multiplex ice plant, $250,000. And further, that the reallocation of funds be reflected in a future amendment to the 2026 to 2030 financial plan bylaw.
Thank you, Councillor Earl. Second, Councillor Apollonio. Discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Earl.
Obviously, that sucks. I don't think anybody's happy to see other capital priorities subsumed by this singular issue, which, as we affectionately call them from time to time, legacy challenges. Something that happened decades ago, a decision that was made that was the norm at the time, has now come back to bite us in the ass, and we are trying to make the best of the situation. There have been a number of comments from members of the public suggesting that this is a want on our end, not a need. That is not the case. We were given direction from the good folks at WorkSafe BC to remediate the issue. And for those familiar with WorkSafe BC, in situations like this, they have slightly more power than God. So we have to acquiesce to that. So thank you, staff, for the work you put into this. And while it might not be the funnest or most exciting piece of municipal infrastructure to spend this much money on, we do, like all of our assets, have a responsibility to maintain it. And we also have a responsibility to provide a safe work environment for our employees and the public.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Councillor Parslow.
Yeah, I'm just getting over about the one need comment. Yeah, okay. Obviously, we have to get this done, and I'm just a little bit concerned about how we're funding it. And whilst I appreciate the review, are we just putting off some very needed things to burden a next year's budget with? I'm thinking, for instance, the sidewalk on 111th Avenue, the park trails, the street lighting, the HVAC, ice plant, and so on. Why was this route taken, not just securing funding from our capital reserves? And is there an in-between, can we do a blend? Because unless staff has some insights that I don't have, I think many of these things are just going to be passed on to our next year's budget, and we're not moving ahead on some things that needed to be done.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, through your worship. So, and Ryan may correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think the list of projects which we brought to council prior and identified is we hadn't started on some of these, so they were candidates for this. I think there was a feeling to not go into reserves. Certainly that if council wishes to do that differently, we can. There's also the capacity of the people delivering the projects. This particular project that, as Councillor Earl pointed out, nobody wanted or expected is been very, very consuming for a number of staff. And the move was a lot. And so honestly, the managers who are involved with this, I think that's another aspect, is simply the capacity to maybe complete some of these projects. So all of those things considered is why you see that in front of you. I think if we took from reserves and left these projects on the list, we would be struggling to complete, and you'd end up with carry forward projects anyways, which pushes that down the road.
Thanks, Kevin. Go ahead, Councillor Parslow.
Well, we always have carry forward projects, and but the funding is secure for those projects. Here, these projects which will be carried forward, I think many of them are not. Many of them, to me, seem to be very infrastructure oriented, and if they're carried forward with their budgets, it makes it easier for them to do. And I accept the fact that sometimes some things cannot be completed within the fiscal year because of the very reasons staff has just outlined. But I still say, well, fine, everything's getting kicked down the road a little bit by this. So if we remove the funding for let's say the 111 Avenue sidewalk, you're going to be having to find funding for that next year. And so what would be isn't there a middle ground here? I see some of them as being more serious than others from the point of view of being needed. Some my colleagues on council may disagree, but when I say that, the airport branding and website development, yeah, that needs to happen, but I think we need to have a lot more background information of where we're going with our airport. And there needs to be a lot more discussion and a consensus around the options. And so I can see that when we're ready. I don't think we're ready for it. But anyway, I just think this, I appreciate the work that's been done. I really have reservations about by cancelling these things and removing the money from them, we're causing ourselves some fiscal hardship next year. So I agree with the project. and I appreciate the intent, but I'm not comfortable just quickly dismissing these things without some discussion at this table today about the implications of this.
Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, through your worship, just quickly. So, Councillor Parslow is correct. What will happen is we've already got projects slated technically in the 5-year plan for next year. Removing these then puts that added pressure on it. We also talked a meeting or two ago about a potential street that we may look at bumping ahead. So all those things put pressure. So either we take money from reserves now to deal with the abatement project and move this along, or we take money from reserves next year because next year is going to be overloaded with requests if we want to maintain, these projects that we see in the queue, so to speak. So yes, there's likely going to be a need to have some sort of blended approach, and whether that's this year or next year, but Councillor Parslow is correct. No.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. I had the same concerns as Councillor Parslow about the putting off of many of these projects. My actual big concern, though, was that we were taking off the airport branding and website development when it is one of our strategic priorities. In our capital plan or project plan, it is listed as a high priority, where we had 2 or 3 other options that are low priority. And I was just wondering why we specifically chose it over the public art policy or the communication strategy plan, or if there was even the opportunity to split the columbarium when we were purchasing 2 columbariums, if we could have just gone down to 1 for Brookside Cemetery and gone with those options instead. If those other 3 had already been started and can't be stopped, or what. Just for me, we've been working hard on the airport. It is a strategic priority. It is listed as a high priority capital budget item. I'm wondering if we could have swapped it for something else. But again, I'm with Councillor Parslow and the idea of keeping all of these going and us reaching into capital reserves for the unforeseen. And we keep moving these projects forward as best we can, realizing that it is taxing on staff to be able to complete them all now. But I think like Kevin said, right, if we don't, we're just further taxing ourselves in the future. I'd like to see us do as much as we can in 2026 when we're able, right?
Thanks, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Worship. And just to the points made by my colleagues, I think, Mike, I guess when we talk about which capital initiatives we are going to triage priority-wise as far as, trying to make the budget work within our finite resources, I look at, the Code of Viewing stand. It's not a matter of, I guess 2 areas. There's number 1, safety, and number 2, the cost to do it next year above and beyond normal inflation. So for me, most of the, like Lepke Park Trail Plan, it's not, it's not something that's going to get appreciably more expensive, and as it currently stands, it's not unsafe. So the 3 I was kind of looking at would be 111th Avenue sidewalk, the RCMP HVAC, and the multiplex ice plant. So there's no concern. Obviously, they're in a situation where they have to be upgraded or replaced, but there's no concern about public safety for having to do with that. And then I guess next year, if it's the cost is going to go up by 20%, obviously it doesn't make sense to wait. But if it's going to be, provided the revenue generated from the investment income generated from the reserves outpaces inflation, which I think it has the last couple of years, the regular inflationary cost to finish this work isn't going to be appreciably more. And I take Kevin's word that capacity is an issue. I mean, I'd just as soon we put put our focus on what we can complete. And then, you know, there's some stuff that would be nice to have. City banners, great, but I don't think long-term is going to appreciably, a one-year delay is going to appreciably change the quality of life of people in the community very dramatically. So yeah, that's my chief concern. Is there any of these projects that would, you know, is it a safety issue or is it the costs we expect? Because like I know with roads, right, if we leave them to go a certain amount of time, the cost to resurface the road versus the cost to rebuild it from the ground up is significantly different. Or is that the same as a sidewalk? Or are we pretty much sure the cost to do 111th Ave are kind of understood and they're going to be what they're going to be?
Yeah, so through your worship, I guess the first thing from a safety perspective, yes, of course, the sidewalk on there would be nice to have because we don't have one on that stretch of road. And that's why it was identified. Are costs going to go up next year? Yes, probably. That just seems to be where we're at. So that, you know, and that's a big chunk of the money that we're looking at is that sidewalk project. The other items I don't believe to be, you know, considered safety items would be nice to get done. Like I said, some of them hadn't started. Some of them are planning exercises, so that those costs don't change nearly as much or is not as volatile as fixed goods. But if like I said, if council wants to feel strongly about a couple of these items and they want to see if we can move forward on them and fund them from capital reserve, then we can certainly look to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine to support the recommendation as I made it, but out of respect for the reservations expressed by my colleagues, I wanted to drill down a little farther into it to ensure that we're giving it its proper due. And then I guess with these projects, are they the kind of, since they were approved this year, presumably, do they end up at the top of the priority list for next year, or is it kind of going to be a moving target similar that some might drop off as other emergent needs arise?
So through your worship, that is always the challenge. Like I said, we have our 5-year plan already kind of plotted out, especially for roads and whatnot. So it starts bumping things, which is, as I indicated. And we don't know what's going to happen between today and the time we start budget process again here in the fall. So yeah, those are always challenges. You'd like to bring them up to the top. There may be something that arises, like the project we're dealing with currently, that may alter that a bit. But our intent is to bring these back forward. But again, we're going to have to fund them likely from reserves because a lot of the capital for 27 and beyond is spoken for.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Just one quick thing, Kevin, while you're talking about 111th, did that already go out to tender? Because I did notice there was some work done previously on some water work done on the one side of the street. There was 3 or 4 lawns that were cut out a bit. I was assuming that was for the sidewalk, but it might have been something else. So. Yeah,
through your worship, no, these projects, nothing has started in that regard. And I believe these projects are the ones that we brought forward early in the abatement project and put them forward to council as potential funding sources. So,
Thanks. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. In regards to the Lakota viewing stand, there was PRRD. Was Director Ebert still going to give us money for that, or is that a non-issue now?
Well, my last conversation with him said that he is still considering it. He's just waiting to see where we get on the sub-regional conversation.
Right.
So he said it's still on.
So it's still hanging over our head kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta, go back to what Councillor Earl said as well, about, 111th and the increase in cost of these projects if we do delay them, right? And if we don't do them out of reserves now, we're going to take even more reserves next year, right? I know capacity is an issue, right? But to try and get as much done as we possibly can now, just makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald.
So through your worship, I guess I would ask a question of Devon, is so if 111th project came back on the table, is it something that could be completed in 26?
Yeah, through your worship. It would be tight because I'm not sure if we have design done yet. We haven't started design because this project was put on the books early, like Kevin mentioned, as one that could be pulled. We hadn't started it yet, knowing this was coming. We probably likely would not get it done this year.
Okay. Thanks, Devin. Thanks, Kevin. I had one question, Kevin, just on the childcare design concept. Like, we've had a lot of dialogue the last 4 years with moving this forward, and the reason for getting this ready was so that it's shelf ready for the next grants that come out federally, because we've missed being able to do this on a few. So is there still talk of another round coming out of the federal government? Because I would hate to, if we know that, to miss the opportunity for this, because it's a pretty substantial thing, or can be for the region.
Yeah, through your worship. We've had some conversations through the Child Care Task Force. There's been no discussion of any funding coming.
Okay.
Northern Health, their representative here, who's been working with the hospital and childcare, he's got a pretty good ear to the ground. We haven't heard anything.
No intakes coming. So
No, nothing.
okay.
Nothing coming.
Thanks, Devin. All right, any other? Go ahead, Councillor Parslow. Councillor Parslow, push your mic. You're welcome.
Further to the childcare, can you give me some information about that? I mean, we have one being built at Cowichan. So who would operate this childcare this listed in this third bullet? Is it a city-run thing? Is it or what?
Yeah, so through your worship, we had gone through the process. For the grant funding, it has to be municipally run, essentially. The building has to be, to get the grant funding, you have to sign up for a contract, 10, 15, 20 years, depending on the amount of money you receive. So we had gone through an RFP process, and YMCA was successful. So they are our partners with this, and they are still our partners. We still have an agreement with them. It's a 5-year agreement. The next step for us would be going through and doing architectural. The trick is it has to be shovel-ready. It has to be a shovel-ready project. So if we were to continue along the path, the next step would be an RFP for architectural master consultant services to do the groundwork to actually design the building. And then the idea would be that the YMCA has agreed to, as part of the RFP, is they would take over they would work with the design and do part of a design bid build kind of thing, like we've done design assist, like we've done with the splash park, or we've done with the sewer trunk main. And then once it was complete, YMCA would take over operations, and the city would own the building, kind of like we did with the Juniper clinic as well, something like that.
So how has the need for this changed with, for instance, the Cowichan's development?
So the need, there's quite a few spots that have opened up recently. Cowichan is opening their space. There's another space going in across from the Calvin Kirk Center, I believe, and there's also a third space in town as well. So there's quite a few spots that are opening up, and then we're right close to the tail end of getting those spaces in town. So I would say we've done a lot of work, a lot of data work to understand how many spots are necessary in the community, along with the Child Care Task Force. The Child Care Task Force has been quite effective in gathering all of those different agencies together. I would say that every community needs childcare. There's never enough childcare to go around, but we'll be much more comfortable with childcare once these spaces open up.
And so where does this put this additional one? Does it make it a high priority or a lower priority if we've got this improved capacity on the doorstep, so to speak.
I'll let Kevin speak.
Yeah, well, through your worship, I think, as you indicated, we probably need to better understand how many spaces are coming online and what the gap is. And by the sounds of it, the marketplace is filling those gaps in lieu of any grant opportunities coming. So I would say that's, part of the reason why it probably we're able to push this a bit. It's not the same priority it was a year and a half ago.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Thanks, Devin and Kevin. We're good? Okay. You had more, Councillor?
I'm wondering about making an amendment to the motion that Councillor Earl read, which was really the recommendation. But I don't wish to cut off discussion of the original motion unless people indicate that they were interested in entertaining an amendment. So if nobody else wants to speak, I would like to make an amendment there.
Yeah. Oh, Councillor Apollonio?
Oh, sorry. Just we're being naive. Of course, looking at the figures, for example, 1,832,000, and of course the hedge is 775. So we have an excess of 1 million. So what does this mean? So the 1 million will be just allocated in other projects by canceling all those things.
Yeah, so through your worship, this particular part of the project is 775. That's just the drywall reconstruction after the abatement. The abatement contract is for something.
Through your worship, I believe it was 432 and change.
Yep. So that puts us over 1 point some. Doesn't include electrical costs. So now, as part of this, we have to rebuild a bunch of the electrical in the ceiling because all the lighting has to go. We have to run a bunch, all new conduit, all that. And so those costs are still a bit unknown because WorkSafe won't allow us the contractor to pull back the ceiling tiles and take a closer look and try and actually price it all out. So we won't get a real fix on that number until all the abatement's done. They can go in and go, oh, okay, now I got a better idea. I think that number is probably, between 6 and we're estimating 600 to 800 for that. So what I'm saying is 1.8 may not be enough. So we might be into reserves before we're done, but it's a really unique project simply because even this contract that we're issuing today for 775, the contractor came in and looked at a ceiling like this and was asked to give a price about drywalling something on the other side that they can't look at. That's kind of, we don't really have any way around that. So there's going to be some unknowns for sure. So that's where it's totaling up. So the 1.8 is kind of what we assumed early on would be enough. I think we may still be a bit short.
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Apollonio. Any other discussion on this motion? I just have one before Councillor Parslow. So Kevin, I'm assuming you've done all the work on this, but something like the RCMP HVAC, is probably wouldn't be a huge commitment from the city team to do something like that, but you're it's not needed to be done this year. It's something that can be put off.
Yeah, so through your worship, this is the planning component of the actual work. So this would be architectural or mechanical designs and things like that, right? So it just pushes it off. It's something they've needed for a while, but it's just going to delay it another year.
Okay. And then, if we would have known about this project last year, it would have came to our budget time last year at the 1.8 million, and we would have removed stuff then.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't have went into reserves. So I'm in favor as well as the way this motion's presented. So, but yeah, go ahead, Councillor Parslow.
Well, these comments that I've just heard If I may, I'm not trying to be awkward or play games here, but Councillor McDonald listed 2 or 3 things that he wondered why they were not brought forward, and he didn't get any answer from staff. So just so we have as much information, you mentioned as an example the columbariums. So maybe I think you asked a question, something, are they in progress? Is that why they weren't put forward? And I do think we need to, because that might shape the amendment a little more.
Yeah, thanks. Councillor Parslow, go ahead,
Yeah,
Kevin.
sorry, yes, you're right. Through your worship, I think columbariums may be even already on hand. So the airport just simply hadn't started. If it's something that council wants to do, I'm not saying it's not important. It's just something that hadn't started. Could we do it? Yes, we could. Melissa certainly indicated it's something we could do, but all the projects we've got, all of them are important, and it's not easy to cancel anything, because for every one we cancel, we already know that when we put these projects forward originally in the 26 process, there was already 2 or 3 projects that got, canceled because we were doing one of these projects. That's just the nature of it. It's always it's a struggle, and it has an impact somewhere, without a doubt.
Well, and I remember, was it 2 or 3 years ago when we had a whole bunch of carryover too? Like it just started compiling, right? We had to slow down because we just couldn't keep up. So as much as a lot of the things in the community, we need to play catch up, and we don't want to put any things on the back burner, but we had that issue before where we had so much carryover that we couldn't even really commit to the next year's stuff.
Yeah, and through your worship, I mean, we've certainly become more strategic on that, from a staff perspective of how we deliver those projects, and we've also got some great people delivering them. So that's, both of those aspects have resulted in very little carry forward, other than, rather than whole projects being carried forward like we were experiencing, we are now, most cases, down to final touches or things like that where, we'll get the landscaping next year type of thing on something. So, I commend the teams that have been working on them.
For sure. Okay, thanks, Kevin. Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Worship. So my other question as part of that was the public art policy, which just takes the 1% from other capital projects to fund it. Is that not something that we could reallocate to this and then keep the airport branding?
What's the value on the
Public art policy was $41,284.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, if council wants to make a change, absolutely. Yep.
I just see the airport branding, it's been a strategic priority for us. It's been something we've been working hard on for the last couple of years. We have possibilities there, and I would hate to see us not support the possibilities to the best of our ability through our own website to give them the greatest chance for success.
You can make an amendment if you'd want to switch those 2 out.
So that would be, if Councillor Parcel is wanting to make an amendment first, he mentioned it first, but that would be an amendment I would prefer, yeah.
You're on the floor. You can make one now if you want.
Okay, so my amendment would be that we remove the airport branding and website development off of that list and add in the public art policy instead at $41,284.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald. Do I have a second? Councillor Kemp, any discussion on that amendment?
Again, like I had said, the airport branding and website, it's an important project that we need to get the airport moving in a proper way for ECDEV, et cetera, and this is a beginning point to that, even though, Councillor Parcel's comments about we need to have direction first. I think that is the beginning of our direction by branding and website development.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald. Kevin, Tab, will we need to change the total dollar figure in that motion as well as an amendment? Because going from 40 to the 41,000 and change will change that? Will we need to? Okay, thank you. Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Your Worship. Question through you to staff with respect to the public art piece that's been added in. That is a project we are working on with other stakeholders, specifically, I think, the art gallery and some people under contract to them. Is there any, where are we in this project? And is this putting us in a position where we're not now fulfilling our contractual obligations to those folks?
Through your worship, just Councillor Earl, we're still in the process of finalizing the committee. So I think that this is an okay swap to make. I think that that would be fine to still finalize the committee and look to next year to purchase the first piece of art.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Any other discussion on the amendment? No, I'll call the amendment to vote. Those are all in favor, or those that are in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Any other amendments? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Parslow. Councillor Parslow, you're just going to put your mic on. Councillor Parslow, just your mic.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to make a second amendment. My second amendment is to delete the Lakota viewing stand, city banners, childcare design and concept. Sorry, I'm doing it. Yes, I need the guidance here. What I intended is that we have a motion that has all these lists in it, and so I wanted to retain some of these. So my motion, I guess, is, if I can start again, is that we retain the 111th Avenue sidewalk, the street lighting upgrade, the South Peace Community Multiplex ice plant, and find the balance from capital reserves.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, so through your worship, just to clarify, you would like those projects to move forward and to be funded.
And
Okay.
if that goes into next year, which I expect they will, we do have most of the funding.
They're
that we
funded,
need.
yeah. Okay.
So the total, side 625, the 150 and 250, you add that
1.025.
together, that's the amount I'm suggesting you would
Take from
find
reserves.
through the reserve.
Okay. Do I have a second for that? Councillor McDonald? Kevin, is that clear? It would be those three, the 111th Avenue, the street lighting, and the South Peace Community Multiplex for $1,025,000.
Yeah.
That would come out of reserves.
Okay, thank you, yeah.
Any discussion on that amendment? I guess, Kevin, just, Councillor Parslow moved that, Councillor McDonald seconded that. Kevin, would that, what are our reserves at? And
$1 million.
And I guess the other part of that is by pulling $1 million out of reserves, what does that mean for interest we would be gaining on that in revenue? I would want to know.
Yeah, so through your worship, I will need a moment to dig that up. I don't have it. And without Melissa here, I don't have the quick access to it.
Yeah. I was wondering. Okay. Any other discussion on that amendment? Councillor Earl?
I'm not going to vote in favor of it. I take staff's word that the workload will be more than they can complete this year, and I think there's, like you noted earlier, they worked very hard to come up with some processes and controls to ensure we don't have a glut of carryover and unfinished work year over year. And I think that is a norm worth maintaining. I'd like to have, in particular, the sidewalk done, but once again, provided there's not a pressing public safety issue and the cost to do it next year aren't outpacing the income we derive from the interest on the investments, I don't think it's urgent enough to, I feel like we'd be doing it for the sake of looking busy if we knew we weren't going to complete it till next year anyway. So,
Yep. Thanks, Councillor Earl. Any other discussion on that amendment? Go ahead, Kevin.
Through your worship, would it be helpful for us to get that financial information that you're asking before you vote on this? And if you want, we could take a quick break, and then we could come back and I can see if I can get that info for you.
I guess if council wants to hear that, I mean, I'm kind of, after listening to Councillor Earl, I mean, I would just want that information, but I'm actually agree with the original motion.
Okay.
So
Yeah, if you just,
does
You wanna
council want to take a 5-minute break?
okay.
Yeah, okay, we'll take a 5-minute break.
The general capital reserve, as of December 31st, was just over 9 million. There will be some ups and downs as we go through this project year, but just that's what it was sitting at, was at 9 million. If we were to pull approximately $1 million out of that, it would probably lose approximately $30,000 to $35,000 in interest over a year. And there was a question about daycare spaces. So Devin, I got some information from Bill while we were on break. We were looking with our project to about 110 spaces is what the project was looking to accommodate. Since that time, we've had 3 projects coming online. 2 of those spaces, or 2 of those projects, will provide 130 spaces. And the last one, we're not sure, but it will be more on maybe 30, 40 on top of that. So the projects that are coming on our line are already surpassing what we were looking at.
Okay.
So I guess it certainly means that it's not as high a priority. It doesn't mean there may be still a need for more spaces in the community, but it certainly sounds like things are moving in the right direction.
Okay. Perfect, thanks, Kevin. All right, so what we have on the floor right now is Councillor Parslow put forward an amendment to this, and it was to remove 111th Avenue sidewalk, street lighting, and the South Peace Community Multiplex for $1,025,000, and to take that money out of reserves. So if there's no discussion on that amendment, just so everybody's clear, that is the amendment that is on right now. So if you're wanting to remove those 3 from this list and have them continue and take that money from reserves, then you would vote in favor of this amendment. If you are not in favor of this and you don't want to get into reserves and continue these projects this year, then you would vote opposed to it. Everybody clear on that amendment?
Very well done.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Parslow. All right.
Necessary.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I will call this amendment to vote. So the amendment that I'm calling is the motion amended, which is on the screen. 111th Avenue sidewalk for $625,000, street lighting for $150,000, South Peace Multiplex ice plant for $250,000, which would be resulting in a funding shortfall of $1,025,000, which would come out of the general capital reserves. So if you're in favor of doing this, then you would vote in favor. So I'm going to call this to vote. Those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. It's carried. It's a tie. So 3 were opposed, Councillor Kempf, Councillor Earl, and myself. Councillor Parslow, Councillor Apollonio, Councillor McDonald. Passes. Tie passes. All right, so any other thing else here? Okay, so now I'm going to call the motion as amended twice. So the motion is the one that was recommended. The 2 amendments to it. One where we're moving the airport branding and website development and including the art policy, which is a little bit of a funding, public art policy at $41,000. And then it's also going to be removing the second amendment will be the 111th Avenue sidewalk for $625,000, street lighting for $150,000, South Peace Multiplex for $250,000, and taking the $1,025,000 out of reserves. So I'm going to call the motion as amended. Everybody's clear? All right, those in favor of the motion as amended? opposed, myself. It's carried. 1 opposed, just myself. All right, 9.2, we have report number 26-136 from the Capital Project Manager regarding a request for proposal for the 2026-26 Splash Park Design Assist Construct Service Update. Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move recommendation number 1, that report number 26-136 from the Capital Projects Manager regarding a request for proposals 2026-26 Splash Park Design Assist and Construction Services Update be received for discussion.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Second, Councillor Kemp. Call that to vote. All in favor? It's carried. Go ahead, Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to staff for the report. It's a good piece of work. I guess my main in reading this is I understand it. Having said that, engaging this proponent for the design assist, presumably when they were designing it, they understood the parameters of the budget they had to work within. So for them to design it and then come back with a price well above the budget allocated obviously raises some questions about what, and I don't expect anyone to intuit their intentions, but it's just curious to me that, you know, design it within these parameters and then come back and say, well, no, you're going to have to put it out to tender because this is our price tag associated with it. So could we get some clarity on how this happens, I guess?
Yes.
One thing too, just keep in mind while we're discussing this, that the dollar figures are not public.
Okay.
Yeah, so through your worship, I guess just on that, if for anybody watching wondering, well, how come the numbers are not public? Through the design assist process, you engage, you have somebody doing design, and you also have a contractor that we went through a process to select the contractor to work through this. The idea is that as you're going through it, you're trying to identify any of those issues or things that may crop up that cause cost uncertainty and try and iron those out through the design process. We did this with the sewer trunk main project along Kin Park, and it worked out very well. The idea is you're bringing someone in with the construction expertise that foresees things and helps the design person, and collectively you try and avoid some of those unknowns. So I think in this process, and again, you know, either Ryan or Devin or they may correct me if I'm wrong, but they went through it. I think what happens is when the some of the pricing came back, it was simply higher than what the consultant had probably anticipated throughout the process or what they had on hand. So, you know, I don't know. We try to minimize it. What I would say is, had we not gone through this process, I would be very confident in saying that we would have been much more surprised by the outcome than we were this go around. Just because I believe through this process, we probably narrowed it down significantly.
And isn't it if it's within 10% of that?
It was within 15, Your Worship, on this project, so 15%. If the contract price submitted by the contractor is within 15% of the estimate, Class A estimate provided by the design team, if it's within that 15%, we would have had the ability to move forward. Because those two things jive and feel like, okay, that, you know, it makes sense. In this case, it was outside the threshold. Really, council has a couple options. One is to move to a full-on tendering process, and that's why we don't reveal the contractor's number, because that contractor is likely to submit their price within this. If we go down that process, or the alternatively is you cancel the project at this point. Now, I think there's very little risk in moving forward to the tendering process. I think council would want to know if what the market is for this before you make that final decision of either proceed or not proceed.
There's not much cost to go through it.
At this point, no. We've done a lot of the design. Well, the design is done. So essentially at this point, it's really a matter of putting together some tender documents to advertise and put out there. The other ideas or belief is if we put it out in the fall, you've got contractors that are gearing up and looking forward to 27 work. You can be on the front end of that, hopefully securing the best pricing possible for the time.
If it does go out to tender, does that allow the contractor that worked with the design assist, can they, they're allowed to resubmit?
Yep.
So they can get new pricing if,
They would be able to go out and get pricing for, from some of their subs, I guess, that say, well, instead of, the fall of 26, now we're talking spring 27.
okay. Perfect. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Councillor Earl.
And just, I guess, follow up, if I could, your worship.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So as part of the recommendations, I see there obviously for grant funding to presumably shore up any deficit that might emerge with respect to this. How do we manage that timeline? We would essentially have to commit to funding the entire thing above and beyond the grant that we initially got in order to qualify for the NDIT and building communities strong, correct? Like we're going to have to jump in head first in order to qualify for these. I mean, I think given that, as you noted, the project is shovel ready, essentially, it's more likely, but in order to qualify for these grants, similar to the NDIT grant we just put forward, we have to commit to funding the full project.
Yes, through your worship. But when you apply, you're committing to that. Now, if something happens that you get unfavorable pricing through the tendering process and you wish to halt the project at that time,
There's no risk.
you can still off-ramp the grants. That you never want to do that, but you would essentially.
And I get to go back to if we take it out to the public tender process and once again the price comes in well beyond the budget or what a future council or this council, the tail end of its mandate, feels comfortable with, we still retain the option to shelve it for the time being.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And again, the process, even though we're going through out to public tendering now, isn't a bad thing, because the process to now, again, as I said, going through that design with a contractor and trying to iron out all those nuances and learnings, so you've got the best project and best opportunity to get the best pricing, I believe.
Okay. That's the extent of my questions. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Thanks, Kevin. Go ahead, Councillor Parslow.
Yeah, just to add to the discussion about NDIT, my experience with applying for the same grant that's earmarked here, and I'm sure the city would get that grant, is that you apply for that grant once you've got you've gone out and you've got some quotes. And then you've got your deliverables and everything are well in place. So you can count that $300,000. They expect you to show all your funding sources. And obviously you've got that 300,000 you can count as revenue. But you can't begin the project until you've had the award. The other grant, I have no idea about. You can apply to NDIT and you can indicate that you're applying for other funding, and if you don't get it, then you're still free to make your decisions, right? You're not trapped in a corner that you can't get out of, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can build in a contingency as well for this project into the budget. I forget the percentage, but I do know that they allow a contingency. I don't know if it's 10 or 15%, something like that. So you can build all that in. So you could apply, and you've got to have your quotes in place. So that's just background information. I'd like somebody to explain the washroom diagram. Right?
Page 6.
On page 6. Yeah, so could you walk us through that, starting from the left side, what that is, and then the middle, and then to the right side? Is the left side the male entrance? Is that?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Through your worship, to Councillor Parslow. So looking at the diagram, from left to right, the farthest left hand side is the mechanical room for the splash park. Okay. Then I'm going to call it the middle portion, or the largest portion, is the washroom, change room facilities. So there are 8 stalls for bathrooms and change rooms. Okay. With all stalls are accessible. And then the next sliver to the right would be there's a janitor room. There is the small, sort of in the middle of that space, that's the mechanical room for the splash park. So that's delivering hot water to the sinks for hand washing and such. And then at the bottom of that is a storage room. And then on the far right-hand side, that is we'll call it a concession area. So when I use the word concession, there's no range hood or things to deal with grease-laden vapor, right? It's really just a 4-box wall to do electric type concession type food. So we're looking at ice cream and bags of chips and things like that. Anything that you could plug into the wall. No frying, no deep frying, stuff like that.
Okay.
So within the middle part, which is the actual changing room, I'm assuming that that is all wheelchair accessible?
All the stalls that are in there, they're all wheelchair accessible, and they all have baby change tables, and also this, I'm going to call it space, is also being designed to be, I don't want to say indestructible, because there's always a chance, but it has been designed in mind for the longevity of a public, thank you, there's the better word, vandal-proof facility to ensure the less likely of issues down the road. So things are designed in mind for very hard wear and tear.
So such as stainless steel sinks?
Correct. Yeah.
So how is this going to be operated? I presume in the winter it will be completely shut down, correct?
Through your worship, so the facility has the ability to operate 4 seasons in terms of there is the heat within the facility. So you're really looking at from an operational point of view, the staff's thought process at this time is that it's really a 3-season facility, a shoulder season into the spring, all of summer, and you're looking into late October into November, just depending on sort of the weather conditions for this to operate. So you're going to be ahead of, I'm going to call it the true summer season, so you'll be able to have washroom facilities in Kin Park for the playground, for the, I'm going to call it the pickleball court, the tennis court, and the Creekside Courts outdoor facility there, as well as the baseball space, or not baseball, the ball diamonds and the basketball courts on the west side. This will be open for that. Splash Park to operate through the summer months, traditional months, and then into the fall, the bathrooms would still be open depending on the weather for those outdoor activities at Creekside Courts and the basketball courts as well.
So security, knowing some other communities, they've had to have a lot of supervision of these properties. And so what is planned for us so that it doesn't get occupied, let's say, by people who are just seeking it for shelter? We know that some communities with very good intentions have had to, such as Smithers, they've had to, basically, I believe, this may be out of date now, they basically had to have somebody there all the time. So what are our plans to secure that it is accessible for those who are recreating in the area and need to avail of themselves of the change rooms?
Through your worship, so I think there will be variability in terms of as the weather grows and the season grows, in terms of how much the facility is open from, say, the bathroom point of view, from, say, I'm going to call it early spring to late spring. So the facility would have a different operating hours throughout the spring, summer, and fall. Which will then determine the needs for the operational aspects of it from a staffing perspective. From the splash pad component, early conversations with Northern Health is that there is physical on-site monitoring of the facility, or the splash pad, and the water monitoring in terms of the testing and the chlorination, et cetera. So there will be staff associated with that throughout the day. And then currently, Parks team also are in Kin Park already doing inspections and garbages, et cetera, throughout the days of the week already. There is already also, as part of I'm going to go back to the original reports when the Splash Park came forward, that there would be an operational increase of staffing for the facility. And we estimated at that time that it would be 1.5, if I remember correctly, 1.25 staff for the summer to take care of that. The overall component for the summer, or the seasons. So there will be multiple, I'm going to call it departments, that have different aspects, but there will be staff there throughout the days while the facility is operating.
I understand some of the issues are really at closure.
Sorry?
Many of the problems other communities have, and by the way, I believe this area needs a washroom facility regardless of the splash park, right? The problem is often incurred when you're closing the facility in the evening or late afternoon, whatever time you close it, right? And they've gone to the two-staffing model for protection. Yeah, but that's just an aside. Thank you.
If I may, as well as with respect to the funding, there is the NDIT grant that we chatted about, but there is this Pacifican Building Community Strong Fund. So this came through 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe, might be a month now. And the criteria, so this grant deals with shovel-ready projects. This is a shovel-ready project. It really emphasizes on recreational amenities and facilities, so it checks all those aspects. The grants, they are receiving grants, and I don't want to say they're looking for grants or opportunities at this time. And when they receive them, they review them, and the opportunity for this fund closes I think it's beginning of September. So for us to get our application in and all that stuff, we sort of check all the boxes for this granting Pacific Can funding. And so the timing of it is important for us to make sure that we get in prior to the closing of this in this September.
Thanks, Ryan. Councillor Earl?
If Councillor McDonald wants to speak, I was going to make a motion, but if you'd like to.
I just have a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. Through you to staff. In the report there, after the Kamloops inquiries, it mentions a foundation redesign, that we lowered the structural cost of the foundation. Have we lowered the quality of the foundation to make structural costs achievable, or can we further explain that?
Yeah, through your worship to Councillor McDonald, through the Design Assist project, the original design was rebar through the splash pad, through the concrete pad. But since the Design Assist and working through it, the discussion went from rebar to I'm going to call it wire mesh product. And so that lowered some of the costs associated, but still provided the necessary structural integrity for the splash pad. So it was just using a different construction method, going through, again, that Design Assist project of what worked well with splash pads throughout that the company has dealt with. And taking that information and knowledge and transferring it to our project, hence the Design Assist, to ensure that also we look through the project of moving some of the features inside of the area, reducing some of the footprint, but also the spray zones and some of the other aspects to help minimize or look to reduce some of the costs associated with it.
And does this wire mesh have a history of use in a much more northern area? I mean, looking at our past winters with the freeze thaw, is that going to maintain the integrity of the concrete? Will it be able to absorb that kind of freeze thaw and the heaving in that, like the rebar would?
Through your worship to Councillor McDonald, the answer is yes. Yep.
Okay. And then you mentioned the redesign of the splash features for wind protection. How accurate is the artist's rendering here now? It's very, very different than the one we saw previously when we were originally voting on this project, right? It seems like we've downgraded quite a bit the splash features. Is that a cost savings, or is that just for the wind protection and the water protection, or how accurate is that now compared to what we saw originally?
Through your worship to Councillor McDonald, none of the features changed. It's the same design, it's the same look, it's the same feel. What we did is we just took some of the features and brought them in closer from the edge. So the overspray of the water is a concern by Northern Health.
Right.
And so all we did was move in some of the features on the periphery on the outside and brought some of those features. I'm going to say, to be overly dramatic, right? 6 inches in from where they currently were and in towards the splash pad inwards, so that overspray doesn't happen. So it's the same designs, same features that the community looked at, and nothing's changed, nothing's been removed from the initial designs and consultations and engagement and the reports that have come forward to council.
That's the same picture?
Yep.
Okay. That's all my questions.
Thanks,
Thank
Councillor
you.
McDonald. Thanks, Ryan. Councillor Earl, you were just going to make
I was.
if you're just doing a motion, there's other
Oh, if there,
Yeah, I was just making sure you didn't have any.
yeah, I was going to make a motion, but
Yeah, okay. I'll go to you when it gets to that. Councillor Parslow?
The question is about the Pacific Can grant, okay? I am familiar with that. I now recognize it. Remember, is there only just one intake a year? The reason I'm asking this, okay, is I know a partner in grant application a couple of years ago handled this one, and we didn't get anywhere with it. I'm not saying we shouldn't try. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just curious from the point of view of doability, do they require quotes as part of the application? Because, and then you said it had to be in September. I assume by September the 30th. I'm just guessing when you said September. Because how long does it take to get quotes? Was it too long a period? Are we going to miss it if it's just one intake? Or it seems strange if it's just one intake. But you know what I'm trying to say in a clumsy way here? I think you'll have to have quotes.
Well, through your worship, while they're looking up the intake dates, the quotes that we're going to have is we obviously have a Class A estimate throughout the process, so that's really down to about a 10 to 15% kind of contingency number. So we'll have that, and
That might do.
yeah, and we've also got pricing through the process if that was needed. So I think we'll be good on that front.
Through your worship to Councillor Parslow. So the quick Google says that the 20 application require funding beginning in 26-27 must be submitted September 14th, 2026.
September 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Ryan. Any other discussion on this? Councillor Earl, go ahead, please.
thank you, Worship. I'll move recommendation number 2, public tender process. The council directs staff to exercise the project's off-ramp provision under the design assist framework. Proceed immediately with an open public procurement process for the construction phase through a value-based request for proposals.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Second. Councillor Apollonio, discussion. I'll call this motion to vote. All in favor?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Councillor Parslow.
What is the value-based request? What does that mean? I've never seen that word. I've never seen that for words before. What does that mean?
Through your worship to Councillor Parslow, value-based procurement is not just lowest bid. So that's where we can use things like it's hard. Yeah, experience, quality, skill, previous work. It's not exactly an RFP like we're used to. We've never usually done a value-based before. Very rarely have we done it. But there's a whole spectrum of types of procurement within that value-based procurement. But it's not our standard RFQ, which is lowest bid gets it. Because in this instance, you get what you pay for. And sometimes you need to make sure the contractor is competent and qualified to do the work, not just put in the right number.
So just for my own clarification, I guess, given the degree of specialty required to build something like this above and beyond what we'd normally do as municipal government, you're looking at more than just the bid price. It's experience, capability, equipment, references.
Through your worship, Councillor Earl. Value-based procurement allows us to look and score, evaluate bids on different things, where when you're doing a request for quotes, you can only really legally look at the price.
Yeah, so it's like if you're buying a truck, request for quote is what you do, but given the complexity of this particular project, you have to take more into consideration.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call this motion to vote. All those are in favor? It's carried. On that motion, or we got another motion?
No, I've voted for, we've dealt with recommendation 2, haven't we?
Yeah, I know, but there's more you want to
Yeah,
comment
I'm
on?
talking about recommendation 3 because I think there's an inherent mistake in the wording of that recommendation. If I can
Yeah, go ahead,
speak to
Councillor
that, I'm just
Barzal.
trying to
Yeah, go ahead.
make sure we're doing it properly, and I appreciate the work that's gone into this. What I'm trying to get at here is supposing if we just keep the math simple, let's supposing the project's 5 million, and we're counting on 300,000 from NDIT. So that means we're committing 4,700,000. The 300 of 5 million is a certain percentage. I don't know what it works out as being a percentage. But that percentage is then part of the agreement. So let's suppose it's 5%. That 5% means that they will pay 5% of the bills that you submit. If it comes, and then they have a holdback. How are you going to work in the $1 million from the recommendation 4? Because if you're going to include that in your submission under recommendation 3, then you've got $1.3 million coming from grants, and you've only got 3.7 city. So then NDIT's portion, right, will subsequently be much less. Do you see what I'm trying to? And I'm just getting confused with how, because the language here says, for funding up to 300,000 toward the Dawson Creek Splash Park facility, and that should the application be successful, the City of Dawson Creek commits to provide the required municipal contribution and proceeding with the project. How does that all work when you're dependent on another grant? If you didn't have another grant in the bag here, it would be, I know the answer to the question, right? But where you've got multiple grants, I just don't know how it works.
The bulk of the funding is already a grant, is it not?
That's now city available to the city. You can count on that. Yeah, it's still a group.
Ryan, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, so with NDIT, so their funding terms, straight off their page, is there's 2 scenarios I'll give you. It's right off their page. It says funding terms up to $100,000 to a maximum of 70% for upgrades or repairs to an existing facility. So that doesn't count because this is new. Or up to $300,000 to a maximum of 50% of a new construction and or substantial upgrades to existing facilities. And so the project is substantially more overall for the $300,000 in terms of to a maximum of 50%.
Oh, yeah, you will be eligible. I'm just talking about the language. Dawson Creek commits to providing the required municipal contribution and proceeding with the project. But are you going to proceed with the project if you don't get the other grant?
Well, that would then
That would
come
be up
back
to council.
Council, and we would make that decision. That would
would
then
come
come back to council, and we could make that decision.
Yeah, but are you counting that other grant in your formula that you give in the NDIT?
If it's
One way or the other.
based on what Ryan said, even if the only portion of the spending that was able to be matched by NDIT was the direct city contribution that would equate to a maximum of $300,000 to cap that $300,000 match. Now, so you asking that we put some language in here basically proceeding with the project contingent upon getting the other grant? Because until we get the final bid price, we don't even know what the actual grant we're getting is, because you need to, so I think there's some contingencies in here, but.
What I'm confused about, Jeremy, is certainly I believe the city's eligible for the 300,000. But what you get back from them is basically a formula of how much they will pay of all the bills that you submit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And so if the 300,000 is 5% of the project, you'll get 5%. You submit a bill for 100,000, you'll get 5,000.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is if it goes under budget, then you might not get the full 300, it's kind of.
I'm not saying that. If it goes under budget, yes, you won't. If it goes over budget, I forget how they handle that. But if your application, when you make the application, if you're including the $1 million from the Pacific Can build, right?
Yeah. So that.
I don't know how those two, how it works with NDIT and how you.
Okay.
Councillor, I'll just. Devin, go ahead, please.
So if I could speak to it, having applied for a few grants in the past, when you're applying for a grant and you haven't actually formally received approval for the grant, we don't include that in the applications because it's not ours to include. If we do receive the grant, what we do is we reach out to the other grant funding authority and let them know, and we work out what those are. But I'll speak to this one, and I'll use the original budget because that's a safe number we can use. It was originally $3.6 million. The Pacific Can grant is up to $1 million, 50% eligible. The NDIT grant is up to $300,000, 50% eligible. That's only, was that $1.6 million total. What would likely happen is the NDIT and the Pacific Can could stack. The NDIT would, whichever one we chose first, the first $600,000 we spend, 50% of that would be eligible. That grant is done. The next $2 million we spend, the next $1 million of that would be eligible, that would be spent. So unless we have actually received that grant agreement in hand, we would not normally put that on an application. But many of the grants have a condition that if you were to receive another grant, you must reach out and rewrite the grant agreement with them, and they work out that funding at that time, if that's clear. So regardless of how this works, the original project estimate was actually more than all of these combined, so they would stack comfortably, and I don't think we'd have those issues. If we did, we could work with the grant funders to talk it through.
So the way, Devin, the way that it's worded in here, is there any risk, or would you change anything based on what Councillor Parslow said?
I honestly don't think there's a lot of risk here. We would. It's a semantic logistic thing that we would sort out with the grant funders.
Yeah,
they're used to doing this all the time. They're used to many applicants reaching out many times. As Councillor Parslow, as you're aware, I know you spent a lot of time on the NDIT board.
Okay.
The staff of NDIT are very helpful and will work you through it, but I still have real problems with how, I don't have suggestions, which is terrible, to improve the wording, but I'm not comfortable with the wording.
Yeah, so in total, if the original estimate was 3.6, all the grant funding altogether, if we were to receive everything and we were to spend 2.6 million, we will have exhausted all of the grant funding. So that means the project still had $1 million more that we would have needed to submit. So those grants likely would have stacked, and both grant authors would have been comfortable with the stacking.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Devin. Somebody like to move a recommendation, please? Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Worship. I'll move recommendation 3, NDIT grant funding application that the City of Dawson Creek supports the submission of an application to the Northern Development Initiative Trust Recreation Infrastructure Grant Program for funding of up to $300,000 toward the Dawson Creek Splash Park facility, and that should the application be successful, the City of Dawson Creek commits to providing the required municipal contribution and proceeding with the project.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Second, Councillor Kemp. Discussion. Councillor Parslow.
Well, I'm going to vote against this because it commits the city to completing the project regardless of whether we get that other $1 million grant. It says, should the application be successful, the city commits to providing the required municipal contribution and proceeding with the project. So with different wording, I might be able to support it.
Go ahead, Kevin.
This is $1 million difference, right?
Yeah. So through your worship, yeah, I mean, I think that when you're applying for a grant, you always have to show that you're committed to your portion or what's not covered. Yeah. I think that's the intent of the language we're trying to do there. Council always has the opportunity to not proceed with the project. So regardless of this, the language in a grant application, if something, again, we've talked about, if it comes up that we don't get favorable pricing through the tendering process, then we can stop at that point. So
even if with the grant, if we got it and then the pricing is high,
Yeah.
so at that point.
if it didn't work, council has the ultimate authority to say we can't proceed. It's not at all costs. It's still need to work within, your means. So our intent there was really what we see in grant application language is that you intend to move forward with the project and cover the remaining costs. So
Not applying for it. Yeah, exactly. Councillor Earl?
No, I was.
Okay. Any other discussion? No, I'll call this motion to vote. All those are in favor? Opposed? Councillor McDonald, Councillor Parslow are opposed. It's carried. Recommendation 4, Councillor Earl?
Yeah, I'll move that as well. The City of Dawson Creek supports the submission of an application for up to $1 million from the Pacific Build Community Strong Fund, or Pacifican Build Community Strong Fund, pardon me. Further, that council directs staff to provide a certified resolution in support of the application.
Thank you, Councillor Earl. Second, Councillor Kemp. Discussion. Councillor Earl, did you have anything?
No.
Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. I've not seen that provide a certified resolution in support of the application. What is that?
So through your worship, many grant that we apply for, you need a certified resolution from council. What it is it's signaling that council is aware that staff are applying on a project and that there is a capital contribution, there's a commitment. It prevents rogue staff from applying on grants when there's no awareness or no commitment from actually council.
So is this not a certified resolution by us just voting on it here?
It is, but they actually need a copy sent and stipulating that it's a certified resolution and stuff. So there's some language, correct, Tab, that we typically do. This is very common in a lot.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call this motion to vote. All those that are in favor? That's carried. All right. I made a bit of a mistake, so I have to go back to 9.2. It actually, a tie vote is defeated. So I didn't realize that. So, you mean 9.1? No. Oh, yes. Sorry, 9.1. Yes. So the defeated vote will be removing those 3 and taking the $1 million out of reserves. So that actually is defeated. I said it was approved. So now I need to call the motion as amended, which will just be the original motion as amended, which is up on the screen. So it is removing the airport branding and website development for $40,000, replacing that with the public art policy for $41,000, and then changing the total dollar value from 1.832455 to 1.83345. Just for the $1,000 difference. So is everybody clear on that? So this is the motion. So I'm recalling this motion as amended because the previous one was defeated. So I apologize to council for the confusion and to the public that were watching too. So, so I'm going to call this motion as amended to vote. So all those in favor? Opposed? Councillor McDonald, Councillor Parslow is opposed. It's carried. All right. Next, 9.3, report number 26-146 from the General Manager of Major Infrastructure and Development regarding the Dawson Trail east of 8th Street update. Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to move that report number 26-146 from the General Manager of Major Infrastructure and Development regarding Dawson Trail east of 8th Street update be received. Further, the council directs staff to include funding for a geomorphological assessment of the Brookside Cemetery area of Dawson Creek, consisting of a desktop review and a field visit in the draft 2027 budget for consideration.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Do I have a second? Councillor Parslow? Discussion. Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think for, if nothing else, just for the preservation of the Brookside Cemetery and understanding where the future lies for it, this is a very important assessment that we get done on the Dawson Creek and be able to plan for the future of the cemetery, more so than the trail.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Parslow?
Yes, well, so agreeing with Councillor McDonald, I do think we need to be looking at alternative routes. I believe that there needs to be some connectivity, a trail, cycle path, running, whatever, people with wheelchairs are able to go from the existing trail area, which I'm going to call, what I'm referring there is west of 8th Street, to be able to walk, run whatever way, to the multiplex, the soccer fields, to the fall fair. While I'm generally out of town at the fall fair, my remember the history is the walk along 116th Avenue is definitely overcrowded, somewhat dangerous. But I do think a cross-town connective trail is needed. As I sent you a picture of a slide that occurred at Spirit River this spring, into the Spirit River, this is a very real potential prospect for the city. So that's why I'm supporting the motion. I don't know how you solve it. Kevin shared with me, there was, my memory had forgotten, that a past council explored the option of a right-of-way on someone else's property that was offered, but upon inspection there were clear cracks in the ground, that too was subject to slippage. But I'd hate it to see the cemetery being washed away and a flood in that whole area. I don't know if it would reach to the actual mall, but I do know, like, the town of Peace River has a real problem every year with a creek that flows into the Peace River. Ice dams are the issue there, I believe, rather than sloughing of land. But I do hope that in this review, I'm not going to propose an amendment, but that we do embrace the notion, or future councils embrace the notion, that we need some connectivity to those major facilities. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Kevin.
Yeah, so through your worship, you just see up on the screen there, that's right out of, is it the transportation plan or is that what, transportation master plan that it was pulled from? So what's contemplated there is from 8th Street and 110th, right at the mall, essentially the connectivity south along the frontage of Northern Lights College right to 116, and then having something running easterly down to the soccer and ball fields, which would then pick up the trail that exists, which would get you to the pool and that. It is unfortunate about the existing trail. It's as I've mentioned before, and I did talk to Councillor Parcel the other day, is the instability of that path from Brookside east is significant. We had tried multiple repairs in the past for it only to slough again. Then we had geotechnical information, and as Councillor Parcel highlighted, we'd looked at kind of going up and around, and even that was problematic. And that's when Council of the Day just said, "Okay, we're not moving any further on this." It would be nice to have that connection from the mall property over to Brookside, just to connect the cemetery, but it's a significant cost to put an appropriate bridge over there. Those banks to date have been fairly stable, but in order to meet the span and the flood levels and all that, I suspect you're probably talking well in excess of $1 million, $1.5 million for some sort of a pedestrian bridge across there. So again, that was brought up at a previous council and there was no action taken on it. So I think, again, I guess I just wanted to highlight there is a route contemplated for future. And I think even as part of our second phase of the sanitary upgrades that need to come right through where that circle area is, there would be a path built as part of that project. So again, getting us that connectivity to 116.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Other discussion? I'll call this motion to vote. All in favor? It's carried. So we'll actually just probably stop for lunch here, so we'll be back in probably 30 minutes or so.
This motion. I'd like to move the report number 26-054 from the Deputy Corporate Officer regarding Municipal Ticket Information System Amendment Bylaw number 4628-2026 be received. For the Municipal Ticket Information System Amendment Bylaw number 4628-2026, which amends Municipal Ticket Information System Bylaw number 4278-2016 to reflect the city's new zoning bylaw, be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Second, Councillor Apollonio. Does that make just the report numbers are different in the? That's fine. Okay. All right. Any discussion? No. We'll call this to vote. Those that are in favor. It's carried. I voted that time, Councillor Parslow. Just next, 10.2 report number 26143 from the Deputy Corporate Officer regarding bylaw notice enforcement amendment bylaw number 4629-2026 for consideration of adoption. Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the recommendation, the report number 26-143 from the Deputy Corporate Officer regarding bylaw notice enforcement amendment bylaw number 4629-2026 be received. For the bylaw notice enforcement amendment bylaw number 4629-2026, which amends bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 4277-2016 by updating schedules A and B to accurately reflect the city's recently adopted zoning bylaw, be adopted.
Thanks, Councillor Kemp. Second, Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? Call this to vote. All those in favor? It's carried. All right, next is 11 Mayor's Business. Just updates. The Mile Zero Cruisers had their event here a few weeks ago. I just wanted to touch base, thank the Mile Zero Cruisers for the event that they put on, but I was talking to some of the participants that are actually that travel here, and they were just saying how amazing the organizers are of this event and how they travel, like it's building and it has been building, where a lot of the other places they go to are going the opposite direction. So they spoke highly of the organization and just said it's they come up here and there's breakfasts, there's meetups, there's lunch, there's dinners. Like, it's really like all inclusive, and everybody's very welcome. So they said a lot of the other car shows throughout North America are getting away from doing it like that. So it's actually just a good thing. And it was a great event. So I just wanted to touch on that, but really just thank the organizers. I know there's a group of them, and they do a phenomenal job. Tim Hortons Camp Day. It was pretty amazing going in there. One, I want to thank Kyle and Jillian just for what they do in the community, but two, like the team there, they're just always so welcoming, and it's pretty exciting to go in there and work with them. So I walked in, and Councillor Apollonio, I was a bit early, so he ran away right away. But no, we got to spend some time together, and then, it was just phenomenal. It's fun working the drive-through window, and just a huge thank you to obviously all the support the camp day, to you and Jillian, and the team there. It was amazing. So Premier Eby's visit, everybody from here attended that. So it was just a great round table. He was up here for a few hours up here for a meeting and reached out to us to meet. So we had it was probably a couple hours with him. We went downtown, seen the Mile Zero Post, and showed him around Dawson Creek a little bit, and then we had a meeting with him, and it was good. There was lots of discussion that was had, and a big thing was just our water situation and our water pipeline, and just the provinces. We've had lots of conversations with the province and the Premier around it, so just that they seem well in support of it and helping us move that forward. Physician visit and tour. So I did, there's actually 2 new physicians coming, and they were both in town one week. I wasn't around to do a tour with the one, but I did with the second one. So just gave a tour of the sports flooring facility and then the event center, and spent a couple hours with the doctor, and really nice physician. Looking forward to welcoming him in the fall. I think they're both coming in the fall. So it's good. It's nice that we're getting some new physicians. I think there's a few more coming. There's 2 new ones actually that are for Northern Health that are working in the hospital as well, that I met at the Tumbler Ridge Medical Center or Medical Conference. So it's just good, and it's really enjoyable to show them around. And the event center, on every tour that I've been to, like the event center is one that just blows them away. Like whether it's the pool part of it or this physician, we took him where like all the guitars and hockey jerseys and all the events, and he just could not believe what has been hosted in the community. So just an amazing facility. Showed him the Lakota Center. We walked right down on the ice level, and it was good. So he was just here by himself without his family. They're coming later on. But so that went really good. Another thing I just wanted to touch on too was just thanking the Peace River Regional District for allowing us to use this facility for the next bit. I did talk to Sean this morning and the chair on the weekend, but I just wanted to publicly thank them for allowing us to enter their facility for the foreseeable future until City Hall's ready. So, that's pretty much all I had. Any questions on those? All right. Next, 12, the Chief Administrative Officer Operational Update.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple quick ones here. So, yes, we moved to the mall, so we are there, set up. I think, and I will admit, I had very little to do with this. My team managed this Herculean effort to get this move done. Everything went pretty darn well, pretty seamless. So far, everybody's pretty pleased with the outcome. The only thing that's probably still a little glitchy is our phones. We have phones, but things are still not 100%. So when you call, you can get through to the main line, and hopefully we're able to transfer people, but that's been the last few days they've been working on that, so that's coming. Devin was out with some consultants last week, late last week, and did some water sampling at the Pine, the Peace, and the Murray, just as part of our ongoing water supply project. So they were out with, I believe, Kelly Lake First Nations. Some land guardians from there attended along with them. So that was good. And then just a couple of capital updates. We've got the parking lot in the arena curling rink. That's all done, paved, looks good. There's some finishing touches to do with street lighting and a bit of landscaping. The new score clock is up in the Memorial Arena. And some trees. We got a big delivery of trees late last week. You might have saw a bunch sitting over by Kin by 110th and 13th corner there. So those are being planted around in some various parks. And the Karen project by the NER is nearing completion. We've got some rocks in and just some finishing touches on landscaping to be done there and some signage to go once we get it. That's the hold up, Brian, is we're just waiting on some signage, I think. So, yeah, all good. Yeah, any questions?
I got one, Kevin, just on the Karen, it just made me think of that, the sticker wall that we have up there. Is there plans to like expand that? I just seen that it's extremely full already.
Yeah.
Because I seen that there is some already on the Karen.
Oh, yeah.
The Arrow. So just thinking like if that's full, they're probably gonna.
Yeah, we can certainly look at that, whether we can expand it or, yeah, you don't really want to replace it yet. They're not to the point where you want to remove and replace, but yeah, we can look at that.
Maybe think of it.
It's popular, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It's a good idea. Councillor Apollonio, I think, had that idea.
Yeah, he did. And then just one other thing that I actually forgot to mention under Mayor's updates, but I can right now, is just on Wednesday, the city and the Peace River Regional District are doing that candidate information session at CAPAC. So that for those that are out there listening, it's from 7 till 9. Coming up this Wednesday, so it's in partnership with the city of Dawson Creek and the Peace River Regional District are putting on just a candidate information session for anyone considering becoming a candidate, nominating a candidate, supporting someone who may run for office, or anyone simply interested in learning more about the election process. So that's just on Wednesday, and there'll be a few elected officials that aren't participating in the next election that will be up there as well to answer questions. So that's just this Wednesday.
Yeah, great opportunity for folks to come in and talk to those who've been through it before and find out, maybe what to expect and get some information.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Councillor Parslow?
Yes, I would like staff to talk to me about the status of the situation table.
So through your worship, my understanding is that we have a, is it an RFI, request for information or interest, to see if anybody out there is willing to participate with us and take that on. And if we can find somebody, then we'd be able to take advantage of the funding from the province to do the training. So that is scheduled to go out possibly this week. So
This week?
yeah, hopefully.
Is that all, Councillor Parslow?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? All right, thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
Next diary, nothing in the diary to review. No. Consent calendar, anybody want to lift anything from the consent calendar? Councillor Parslow?
I don't know, lift it. There's a couple of inquiries I want to make about a couple of topics there.
Yeah, we should probably have a
One
motion.
is the capital projects and engineering, and the other one is the community culture and recreation.
We'll need a motion to lift those.
Please, so move.
Councillor Parslow, second. Councillor McDonald, all in favor? You in favor, Councillor Parslow? It's carried. Yeah, go ahead.
So the capital projects and engineering, report. I need some guidance. I couldn't find the status of the solar project in that report. Is it found in another report? Or was it an omission?
Through your worship to Councillor Parslow, the status, I'm not sure why it's not in one of the reports. We have a fully executed contract.
Yes, that's right.
And the project's moving forward. We have some additional due diligence that is happening concurrently right now at the airport. But that project is moving ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering why it wasn't in this report. This would be the place to find it, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I did know that there was progress being made. It was more, where do I find? So it's just a scan. The rest of the report is great. As it relates to the community culture and recreation, I just wanted to comment that I was surprised how, two things. I was surprised how strong the last month of reporting, which I think was June, the multi-sport arena was being used, right? I think if I combine the three columns within the graph, it's about over 300 users, which surprised me given, the time of year, etc. And the other thing is that I was surprised about how many different activities were taking place. Things that particularly appealed, I think, to families with young children. I thought it was a pretty impressive scenario. So Shell is sponsored something or other. I forget the name of it. It was the first time. Is this something that they're going to be doing every year? I forget what it was called.
It's
Park and play.
So is that going to be an annual sponsorship?
So through your worship to Councillor Parslow, so Shell has been a great community partner with this program. They've been a partner for the last couple of years, so it's the Shell Slice of Summer Park and Plays, and so I believe there's actually one this Wednesday evening, and we rotate. I think it's at Peace Park, so we rotate our parks just to get different exposure, different areas of the community for the residents to try different activities. The first one that we did this year, unfortunately, my valiant efforts did not happen. Although I tried hard, but did slow down because I wanted to ensure that someone else was able to win with the Jello eating contest. Not a chance. I had no, couldn't do it.
And as the cookie eating guy on council, I just want to say, enjoy defending that for the next few years.
They had my favorite Jill.
Yeah, it says in the report, Shell's Slice of Summer Park and Play. The first Shell Slice, maybe I misread it. It's the first of this season. I got it. Thank you. It's not new, it's the first. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Anybody else want to lift anything? No? Get a motion to accept the consent calendar. Councillor Kemp, second. Councillor Apollonio. Call that to vote. All in favor? It's carried. All right, next is 15 media questions. No media. 16 recess to close meeting. 16.1 resolution to move into The meeting of council closed to the public for agenda item 5.1 and 6.1, section 92 BI, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government or both and a third party. Councillor McDonald, second Councillor Kempf. Call that to vote. It's carried.